Greetings. I thought I'd jump on here today and do another reading using the Bonfire Tarot. It's Beltane. Still, want to remind you that Beltane is a season, not a day on the calendar, but it's a whole season. It will be Beltane until it is Litha. So you have a lot of time to do a lot of activities for Beltane. So don't worry if you think you've missed Beltane, because you haven't. And I do activities all during Beltane. Okay, so and I found another reading for you, another tarot reading for you. For those of you who like to do tarot readings, that I thought you might like. This one is by Ethony, who has a channel. She's very popular here on YouTube, and I don't know. I've had it. I would tell you exactly where I have it, but to be honest, I've had it in my bullet journal for a year. I put it in included in my bullet journal last year at Beltane, and I did not ever do it. I don't know why I did not do it. I seem to have forgot about it, and I just moved on. And I was looking in that journal for something else, and I found it. And I thought I was excited because I remember the very reason I wrote it down was I thought it was a good one. You know, remember I'm a little picky about my tarot spreads, and I really did like this one. It's very appropriate, and I was fascinated. Oh, I was very fascinated when I dealt out the cards that I dealt. This spread is not personal to me, as the last one I think I did. The last reading I did was personal to me. This spread I used to just want to do as a general spread. It's about the I'm not sure how it's described. Oh. Let's see how she describes it, if she does. If I even have that written down. No, just as another Beltane tarot spread. So she had several apparently. But this one I really love because it talks about the energy of the god and the goddess, and the union of the god and the goddess, and what that signifies, what that can signify in our life, what that signifies in the energies of our life. So I'm going to show you. It's only 6 cards, so this should not be a long video. Should not be, if I don't talk too much. So I'm going to turn the camera around and let you see the cards. Okay, here I have my bullet journal. I have a little diagram I drew of the tarot spread that Ethony has shared with us, the Beltane tarot spread. I don't know, I hope you can see it. It's hard for me to see what you can see. But it's just a basic 6 cards. There's only 6 cards, which is really nice and manageable. And it fits really well with the whole concept of the Bonfire Tarot, which was really delightful for me. That's not always the case. Sometimes you get a really good spread that just doesn't work with the deck that you choose, and other times you have a great deck that you think will give you a good reading, but you have trouble maybe matching it up with a spread that you like. And maybe you're not confident in making your own spread. So when I find even though I don't usually use a specific spread all the time when I'm reading my cards, when I do find one that I like, I love to use it. I'm the first one to grab it up. So again, I'm very thankful for Ethony for sharing this with us. Like I said, it's just 6 cards, and remember at Beltane we have the goddess and the god uniting at this time of the year. And so that is what the first 2 cards here, represented by card number 1 and number 2, are representing in this spread. First being the goddess, number 1, which this card is going to show us what lies within, what is within us, what is the energy that is underneath the surface perhaps, or just some kind of an underlying issue perhaps with the energies that are going on right now. And number 2 would be the God card, which is going to show us what is manifesting from this, whatever this energy is lying within us. or within the situation. Let's say probably within the situation, within the energies, within this time that we're in at Beltane in 2020, what is happening. And again, this is going to be a general, I'm taking this to mean a general reading. It's not specifically to me. And I think that will be pretty clear when we should see the cards. I was pretty amazed when the cards came up. They can be, yes, they're very specific to me and to the way I'm feeling right now, but they're also, that can be said to about a lot of people. So that's why I thought this was a lovely reading to share with everyone, okay? Because, okay, so here we have card 3 at the top is the Union card, and that is, what can the unification of 1 and 2, bringing together, what can they help to balance, or what can they help to create? What something new can they create? So what is coming out of this God and Goddess, the unity of the God and Goddess, the balance of the God and Goddess, the energies of the God and the energies of the Goddess coming together very strongly at this time of Beltane? What can come from that? Or how can that help bring balance at this time? Okay, and we always talk about, very often I talk about utilizing the energy of the God or the Goddess, utilizing the energy of the elements to help us achieve what it is that we wish to achieve. So this spread very much addresses that, which is another reason I like it. Okay, and then card 4 here in the middle, the center card, tells us it's the fertility card. So what is abundant right now? What energy is this is a time of abundance. Beltane is the time when things are growing. We're reaping from seeds that have been sown in the past. What is coming out of that? It's not ready to harvest yet, but it's growing and becoming stronger and stronger. What is that? That's very abundant right now. Okay, card 5 is going to ask us what still needs to transform. Remember, we talk about the Bonfire Tarot. We talk about the bonfire here. Something is burned and something comes out of that fire. What is transformed from the fire? And that's what this card 4 is going to address. Card 5 is going to address, pardon me. And finally, card 6, the final card here at the bottom. What energies are around your creativity? Okay, if you're going to, you need to transform something, it's going to be transformed. Something has to come out of this. Did I misspeak? I hope I didn't misspeak. Let me say that again to clarify. Card 5, what needs to transform? Okay, what are we putting into the fire that we want to change? That's what I want to say. Okay. What needs to be transformed? And then 6, what is going to come out of that? What will come out of that? What energies are around your creativity? And remember, your creativity comes from that passion, that fire within us. We talk about the element of wands being the element of fire, and speaking about passion or something coming out of whatever the intention, whatever the thought is that we had from the suit of arrows coming into wands and firing that fire, firing our passion. So whatever is being transformed, how will that be expressed creatively? Okay, hope that's not clear. It'll become clear when I actually put actual cards to the reading. It'll be actually clearer. So I'm going to take a few minutes, and I'm going to try to get my cards here on the screen for you. Okay, this is not the best angle in the world. I'm sorry about that. We're still working on cameras here in the parlor, but I'm going to give you a little more detail. I'll be able to hold the cards up and show you the card. But I wanted you to see the spread laid out. My 6 cards, and the number 1 card here representing the goddess we have is the 4 of Cups. I hope you can see that. The Four of Cups in the Rider-Waite is very often given the nickname the bored boy because he seems to be very bored with the situation. Well, this is where this deck maybe deviates from that a little bit. Okay, waiting for a helicopter to fly overhead. I hope it's not going to be circling. It seems to just be passing. This is very different from the bored boy. This is a woman all dressed up. She's got her makeup on and her hair done, and she doesn't look bored. She seems to not be paying attention to the cups behind her. What she has turned her back on. And she is looking inward. She is looking down into the water, gazing at the reflection in the water, which the author describes as being distorted. She's looking at the distorted reflection in the water. Okay? But her situation is not a bleak one. She needs to pay attention to what's around her, the author suggests, rather than what is in the water. Okay? Well, I thought that was a really interesting card for this time, because if we're going to take this as a card we want to apply to maybe generally to everyone, we all know that this time, particularly at Beltane in 2020, most of us are under orders of sheltering in place. And those who are not under orders of sheltering in place still have their worlds a little bit turned upside down, because so many of the rest of us in the world are not really able to participate in full force. We're not able to spend a lot of time with in families and groups situations, and of course public gatherings are done. At the time, we're not, to the foreseeable future, we're not sure when we're going to be able to do those kind of large scale activities. So anyway, whatever your situation is, most of us are spending more time like this woman here in the Four of Cups, gazing inwardly, looking towards, because like for me, I can count on one hand how many faces I have seen since the beginning of March, excuse me, other than on the internet. I haven't, the faces I've seen in person, I can count those on one hand. So this is, and of course no physical contact with anyone other than my husband since the beginning of March. So I have a lot of time to spend in gazing within. And I think a lot of other people are in the same position. So I thought this was a really appropriate card that would come up at this time. But the caution with this card is, do we want to really dwell too much on that, on what our feelings are, or trying to make the meaning of it? A lot of people are debating the meaning. What does this mean? Or is this real? Or is it a hoax? Or oh, it's the end of time, or whatever they mean. It's time. The woman needs to pay more attention to her surroundings, to the things that are going on around her, not just keeping herself inward, but doing what she can do to make what is around her more appealing. And I think those of us who are weathering this crisis time of isolation, for lack of a better term, we weather better those of us who are turning our attention to things such as our gardens, or spending time on, there's different apps you can get. I think my family uses Marco Polo. We use Zoom. We use different kind of ways to keep in touch and contact with each other, so we can hear each other's voices and see each other's faces, even though they're not in person. So this is a sort of a timely card for that, I thought. The God card, number 2, here we have the Two of Swords, is addressing what is going to manifest, or what is manifesting from this situation. Am I holding that right? I think I am. And the difference, the author addressed, remember, we always say, again, each deck, or not every deck, but your better decks have a little bit of a twist on the meaning behind on each card. So where the Two of Swords is really very much a decision or a choice being made in the Rider-Waite-Smith deck. And this deck, the Bonfire Tarot, this author is expressing that, yes, a decision needs to be made, but that she knows the answer. That's what she wants to say. The difference is also that she is in balance. This woman is described as being in perfect balance. Okay, so I wonder if I'm holding that out of... I can't see the screen where I'm holding this, and I don't know if I'm keeping the card steady or if I'm wiggling it. If this is helping or not, but I really want. There's so much going on in the illustration. I wanted to give you the best opportunity to see it. Okay. The author is saying the Two of Swords is showing us that there's really the answer that we're looking for, whatever answers we're looking for, can be found. It's really simple. We need to just make a decision, and whatever you find will be your own truth. So in other words, trusting in yourself and not spending so much time trying to make a decision, but just doing. You're in a perfect position to choose correctly, so just choose. Okay, so what is manifesting then from this situation? How can we apply that to the reading? We might say that what is manifesting now is, or should be manifesting, even though we're turned inwardly and we're, perhaps wondering what is this all about and how is this going to affect my future, whatever. Inward, manifesting out here is you yourself, each one of us as an individual has what we need to provide for ourselves. We have the ability, we know how, there's so many things. Maybe they're different. Maybe things are different now. It's a new normal. It's not normal, but it's becoming the new normal. And when things change, it's going to be an even more, a different normal. We don't ever go back to have things exactly the way they are. We may have been not depending on our own self as much in the past as we should be now. We were complacent about our situation. A lot of us were operating on autopilot, just, doing things by rote, doing things by habit. And now we need to be deliberate in our actions. But this card is telling us that we have what we need to be deliberate. We know what we need to do. We have the right, we can make our own decisions. We don't have to worry that we're going to make the wrong one. We need to just take in the facts and decide and move. Okay, the third card, which is the top card here. Here we have the Page of Wands. Page of Wands. What do we say about the Page of Wands? Page of Wands is the airy side of fire, right? The airy side of fire. So it's fire, but it's putting those thoughts into action. This is almost the perfect card for that. Showing the potential. The potential is there. Here she has. I love this card. I don't know. There's so many colors and designs in these cards. So fancy. So busy. I want to say the design is so busy. Sometimes it's hard to see. Maybe it comes across on the camera. It's a little hard to see all the little details. But here we see she has folded up whatever she had written on a piece of paper into a paper airplane. I don't know if people today know what a paper airplane is. I know when we were kids, we used to shoot paper airplanes around the classroom when the teacher has her back turned. But here it's on fire. It's on fire. So she's taking her thought, whatever her idea was, and she's going with it. She's fueled it. It's been fired, and she's ready to take action on that idea. And that is the whole idea, the whole concept of Wands. It's the very beginning of doing that, right? And but it talks about taking the risks. That whole idea of having in order to succeed, you have to take risks. You have to be willing to just step out of that. But there's a caution. If you want to say the caution that goes with the card, we always say there's a caution that goes with every card. We want to guard against, this card guards against becoming socially lazy. Spending too much time, right now we're in the process of we're being alone. We have all this having to spend all this time by ourselves. Maybe in the beginning you were thrown off a little bit because you weren't used to being by yourself. Well, all of a sudden now this is your new normal. This is your new routine of being cut off from other people and not keeping up with friends and keeping up with family and keeping up with coworkers, keeping up with neighbors in a different way. And this wants us to guard against that. We don't want that to be our new normal. We need to spend more time acting and less time thinking. That's the advice that we receive from the card. Not getting hung up in a card. And isn't that what's happening here? So what I particularly love that in this reading, the Four of Cups, she was caught up in her own thought, wasn't she? But it was the unity between the Four of Cups, the Goddess card, and the Two of Swords, the God card, that we have. The idea of, that we're stronger. The two together are stronger than one alone. Okay, so that is something that can help create the balance that we need to move forward. The combination between this cards 1 and 2, combined, that union between the two, help bring us the balance and help us to create what it is that we want to do to move forward at this time. To make sure this is not wasted time. We've been home for now, 2 months? I've been home for 2 months now. What if I had done nothing in 2 months but just sit here and watch Netflix? Sounds fun, and I am watching a lot of Netflix, but there has to be other things happening at the same time. We cannot just stand still. We have to keep moving forward. Now this is something, when I first saw what came up next in card 4, it caught me a little bit, because it always does. What is abundant right now? And look what came up. I love I love the timeliness of cards. Do you see what that is? That is the Tower. That's the Tower. Am I holding this in the right way? When I can finally see the screen and I go to edit this, I'm going to be really either very pleased or very irritated about how I did this. The Tower card. Is that bad? We all cringe when we see the Tower card. Well, what is abundant right now? Isn't this what's abundant right now? Isn't this actually what's happening? Everything is out of our control. I don't have any control. Every day, my husband gets on the news every day on his computer or whatever, his phone, I guess, and he waits to see what the governor is saying, what's going to be happening next with our stay at home. Where are we? Stage 1, stage 2, where are we? Are we still at home? Are we still socially distancing ourselves? Are schools still closed? Are businesses still closed? Can we still not see our families? What's happening? We're dependent on other people all the time. We're by this new normal that's being redefined every day of the week. It throws us off balance, and this is exactly what the Tower card is all about. We are thrown off balance. It does not ever mean that we are utterly, absolutely, 100%, thoroughly, totally destroyed, wiped out, done. That's not what the Tower card is. The Tower card is throwing us off balance. It is ending the way we know it and beginning something new, but something new is going to come from it. And that's exactly where we all are. Do not for a minute fool yourself thinking that when we do get back to whatever normal is, that it's going to be the exact same way as it is now, as it was before this period of time. You would be very naive to think that, mainly because nothing is ever the same. You can't ever go back in time. You could try to go back in time, but it's not going to be the same. It's not going to be the same. We get together with new friends. I've just, we've reunited with some old friends, and hopefully we're going to be able to get together again. But we're going to create a new normal with those. It's not going to ever be the way it was, 30 years ago or whatever. It's just not going to happen. We're different people. A lot of stuff has happened. It doesn't mean it's the end of that friendship. It means it's a different kind of a friendship. It's different. Okay? We're going to still be able to do things, but I think we're going to see a lot of changes coming out of this. A lot of changes. You're talking about a restaurant that closed down just recently that was very much a buffet restaurant. Its whole menu was a basis of a serve yourself buffet. That's just not going to be happening anymore. People can't have that. Didn't seem to be a safe way to be able to have people breathing and handling food at a common buffet all the time. So there's going to have to be a new way of having that. These closed up restaurants where they pack as many people as they can into a small space in close quarters probably isn't going to happen again for a long time. But they're going to find new ways of dealing with that, new ways of handling that. Okay? So remember that. The Tower card is not just about that fall, that being thrown off balance, that being knocked down, but it is about the ability to climb back, having the ability and the opportunity to come back, but in a new and different way, a new normal, a new opportunity. Okay, very good. 2 more cards here. And again, I was amazed by the cards. I'm always so surprised when I do the reading what cards come up. Oh, at first glance, sometimes I look at them and I say, well, what is this card? Oh, what's this card doing in this reading? But then when I get down and I start looking at them, it makes so much sense, which is so exciting. Okay, we have the Hermit card in number 5, and it's all about what needs to transform. And isn't that what the Hermit is about? The Hermit has gone away, and he's gone up onto the mountain to be by himself. He's pulled away from things. He's had a period of hibernation, but it's usually talking about the time now that he has been hibernated. He needs now to come out of that hibernation, and which is what's going to happen. We are going to be coming out of the hibernation ourselves, but we're going to be transforming exactly what we just talked about with the Tower card. There's a need to transform to be something new. Am I in the right place? This is really making me nervous. I'm probably very irritating to you. I have to keep checking, but I just want to make sure that I'm improving this and I'm not doing this for nothing. The interesting thing, then maybe if I get a little closer, you can see it better. That the Hermit, he has his eyes closed. And we can see down in the corner down here of the card, it's pretty dark, I don't know if you can see it, but that is the eye, the all-seeing eye. So it's talking about how his eyes are closed. He spent some time in the darkness, spending some time looking inwardly. When he was alone, up on his mountain or wherever he was, not seeing other people, he all he had to see was what was in his mind. All he had to see was his thoughts. Talk about his thoughts. If the author describes this it's really interesting. We have had our time of hibernation, and the hour has arisen to open our eyes and step once more into the sunlight. And it says, this time of hibernation has been a time to slow down the merry-go-round of our lives. Watch it spin. Look for images in the blur. Look for images in the blur. And isn't that what we've been doing? All this hectic life that we've had of coming and going and shopping and doing and being so busy and going to the gym and going to work and going to pick up children and going to the store and going out meet your friends and just constant going, doing. All of a sudden we're home. And we don't have a lot of time to do anything but think and, you know, think about things and what has happened, where have we gotten in all that blur. You know, there are a lot of people who said that this period of isolation and sheltering in place is being so nurturing to the earth. It's healing the earth of some of the things that we've done, some of the ill we've given the earth by not paying attention. We're going to become aware. We're shedding some light into our lives. We're watching that life. We're the darkness, you know, at the end, as we come to the end of this, we're going to be seeing some truths, some new truths. We're going to be seeing some, we're going to be like this all-seeing eye down here. It's going to be clearer to us how we need to change. And hopefully that will be an improvement for everybody. And finally, the Nine of Wands in the foreground here. This is the final card, card 6, and this talks about what energies are coming out of all this. What are we going to take forward? What will we take forward into this new normal? We have the Nine of Wands, and the Nine of Wands is the card that emerges. He's emerging from a cave here. He's coming from the darkness into the light. And, you know, the feeling is, yes, he has been, according to the author, yes, he's been victorious, but he carries a wound, and we can see here has a gash. Maybe I need to get closer. He has a gash in his forehead. It's a fresh wound. It's still, you know, and it looks like a pretty bad wound. He's bleeding pretty well from that, and he looks like he's been in there a long time. He's got the dark circles around his eyes and etc. But we see he has come through to the end, to the opening of the cave to emerge. And here the cones that are representative in this suit of wands in this deck are all on fire here. So that's, we could call that the light at the end of the tunnel, right? That he's finally seen his way through to emerge at the other end. So he has survived, but he carries this wound with him, and that's exactly what we were talking back here, that and when we talked about the tarot card, it's not going to be the same. The memory of this happening, it's going to be pretty hard, I think, for most of us to, anytime in the near future anyway, to forget this spring of 2020. I hope it's just spring. It might go into the summer. I don't know. But we're not likely to forget this time in a long time. And we're going to be carrying wounds from that. Some of us are going to have, there's some changes that are going to be made in our lives as a result of that. Now you have a choice that you can be enlightened by your experience, or you can let it defeat you. I think that's sort of the message of this wand. But you have been confined for a long time, it's telling us. And the cones here, the pine cones here being on fire, don't only give him light to help him see his way out of the dark cave, but also they are fueling. They're fueling the energy. They bring the energy as they burn, which he needs to make to happen. Whatever changes has to be made. Okay, but the caution here again is choosing yourself over others. And it's how you begin. Choose yourself over others. And that sounds a little bit, at first turn, it sounds a little bit selfish. But I think what it means is, how can we apply that to this time? A lot of us have let ourselves get into positions where our lives are really out of control. You know, you've heard me numerous times on this channel complain about how I was, before we had to shelter in place, I was kind of withdrawing into my own self naturally ever since my crazy year I had last year. When I came home in I think October, after the climax of the craziest part of my year, I pretty much closed the door behind me for a while. And so I started my process of trying to define my new existence, what my new normal was going to be, a little before everybody else did with this forced isolation. But you reach a point in your life where you have to choose yourself, because you can't do for others until you do. It's like, being on a plane. The safety instruction they give you is, you have to adjust your own oxygen mask first, and then you help somebody else, because you can't help anybody if you're unconscious. So you need to see to yourself first. I think that's what this reading is saying at the end here, the Nine of Wands. Choose yourself first over others, and then you will be available. Then you will have what you need and be available to help them and to find your place once again among everybody else, and give them your best. Give them your best. I don't know about you, but that was pretty fun. I found that pretty fun. I was excited about the reading, because it really did turn out to be a reading that we can all, I think, relate to. I think we all can get something out of the reading. It's not so specific. Sometimes they're very specific to one person, but it's not too general that it doesn't have any meaning. I thought the cards were really, really appropriate for the time. So, I'm happy. I continue to use the Bonfire through May. I used to always just keep a deck per month, change it every month. But I found, just like the Sabbaths at the Wheel of the Year, the energies of the deck seems to linger over time, and the Bonfire being so closely associated with Beltane, I thought bringing it up for the month before Beltane and the month following Beltane would really be the most appropriate use, and I'm finding that to be the case. I still can't shuffle the cards, but at least I'm coming up with a different way. I'm solving my problem. It's not my favorite thing, but I'm solving the problem. Anyway, I hope you like the reading. Let me know if you use the reading yourself. You don't have to have the Bonfire Tarot deck to use it. You can do it with any deck. And that would be interesting too, to see if you did this reading with another deck, how it came out for you. So I'd love to share it. I'd love you to share it if you get a chance. Okay, that's all. Thank you so much for watching. As always, I'm Rebecca, and I wish you blessings.